Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a landmark paper that really fundamentally changed how computers see the world. It cracked one of the trickiest problems in the field, how to recognize objects of all different sizes. This question right here, it's one of the biggest challenges in computer vision. It sounds so simple, right? But the solution isn't just about, zooming in or out. It actually required a complete rethinking of how an AI even processes an image. Just look at a scene like this. For an AI, detecting the tiny details, like a person's face, and also seeing the big stuff, like the entire boat they're on, well, those require two totally different ways of looking. And getting both right at the same time, that was a massive hurdle. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about the core problem of seeing scale. Then we'll look at the old ways of doing things and why they just weren't cutting it. After that, we'll introduce the big breakthrough, the feature pyramid network, and get into exactly how it's built. Of course, we'll check the results, and then finally explore its incredible legacy. So before this paper dropped, the entire field was kind of stuck. They were wrestling with this huge trade-off. You could have one thing, or you could have the other, but no way could you have both. Developers were basically caught between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, you had image pyramids. The idea was to feed the AI the same image over and over again, but at different sizes. It worked, and it was super accurate, but oh my gosh, was it slow, and it ate up a ton of computing power. The other option was using a single feature map. This was blazingly fast, but it had a nasty habit of being almost blind to smaller objects. So what do you choose? Speed or accuracy? For any real-world application, this was a massive roadblock. Think about it. A self-driving car needs to spot a tiny traffic sign way off in the distance. A medical AI needs to find a little cluster of cells in a huge scan. You can't compromise there. Developers were forced into these clumsy workarounds, and honestly, the whole field was just desperate for a better way. So everyone was asking, could an AI be both fast and accurate? Could it see things of all sizes without this terrible trade-off? This wasn't a question that a small tweak could fix. The field needed a truly elegant solution, a whole new way of thinking about the problem. And the answer to that question? Well, it's the hero of our story today, the Feature Pyramid Network, or FPN. And it was all built on this brilliantly simple, yet incredibly powerful idea. The authors had this amazing realization. They saw that as these deep learning models process an image, they already create a sort of natural pyramid of features inside themselves. So their thought was, why build something new? Why not just leverage this powerful structure that the network already gives us for free? It's like finding a secret, super powerful tool that was already in your toolbox the whole time. Now, of course, there was a catch. The features at different levels of this free pyramid had very different jobs. The deep layers, they had what we call semantically strong features. They knew what they were looking at, like, that's a face. But they'd lost the precise location. The early layers, on the other hand, knew exactly where everything was, but had no clue what any of it was. So the real secret sauce, the genius of FPN, is how they combined these features. They figured out how to merge the high-level what from the deep layers with the super precise where from the early layers. And the result was this perfect pyramid that was strong at every single level. Okay, so here's how the magic actually works. First, the network does its normal thing, a bottom-up pass. It goes from fine details to broader concepts. But then comes the brilliant part. It does a top-down pass, taking that rich, high-level understanding from the deep layers and bringing it back down. And at each step on the way down, a lateral connection acts like a bridge, merging that high-level what with the precise where from the earlier layers. It's kind of like combining a detective's big-picture overview of a case with a forensic specialist's laser focus on the tiniest clues. The idea was elegant, for sure. But, ideas are one thing. It was the results that really truly cemented this paper's place in history. Just look at this table from the COCO dataset. FPN didn't just beat the standard baseline, it blew it out of the water. And pay close attention to that last column, the one for small objects. For the hardest things to detect, the improvement was just massive. And here's the headline number, an 8-point jump in average recall. Now, to you and me, an 8-point jump might not sound like a lot, but in the world of machine learning benchmarks, getting that big of an improvement from a single architectural change, that's a huge deal. And it wasn't just beating simple baselines. It actually surpassed the state-of-the-art results from these heavily engineered competition-winning models from the years before. And it did it without all the extra bells and whistles. It was just, fundamentally, a better architecture. So why are we still talking about a paper from 2017? I mean, in AI, that's ancient history, right? Why does it still matter so much today?
Well, it's because FPN wasn't just another new model. It was a complete paradigm shift. It became a fundamental component, a standard, go-to building block that is now just assumed to be part of almost any new object detector. It finally solved that speed versus accuracy problem and unlocked a whole new generation of powerful and efficient models.
And that kind of leaves us with this powerful final thought. The core idea here was so simple, right? Just combine information that other systems were keeping separate. It really makes you wonder, what other huge breakthroughs are just sitting there, waiting for someone to build a simple bridge between two different ideas?
If you want to dive in yourself, the link to the full paper is down in the description. This is for entertainment purposes only.